go!
All right, everybody, welcome to Teaching Crypto. This is AZcrypto and MrFOMO for the second night in a row. We were hoping we'd have some finality here with the auction, but MrFOMO, we are still in waiting mode, not over. In fact, we want to let our audience know, hey, John, thanks for joining us. We want to let our audience know that the date for the sale hearing has been moved back from September 29th to October 19th. So we're in. That doesn't mean it's going to take that long for this to continue. Yeah, Joe, we're waiting. Waiting to get our funds back and our crypto back. We want to talk about the 50 million number that was floated yesterday. Got everyone in a panic. There were people doing Twitter Spaces today. Simon Dixon tweeted out that the UCC could do better, and I think there's just a lot of misinformation that we want to clear up, MrFOMO, right here.
Yeah, first of all, I mean, sometimes, and I'm gonna go with this. I'm gonna share something on my screen here. Sometimes the newspaper gets it wrong, right? Sometimes they report something and they just don't get it right. And I think that's what we run into here is we run into the Wall Street Journal printing that $50 million that number, and they heard something and they ran with it. And you know, it's great that they're paying attention to the Voyager situation finally, but I don't think that they did the situation any justice because they printed the wrong number. Just look back at everything we've seen that's come out of this. You know, the lowball offer from FTX in the beginning of this was what, 1.8 billion? You know, and when you look at the $50 million number, that doesn't cover the staking horse. That doesn't get people 72% of their funds back at least. That doesn't get the job done. And so when we're hearing this, you know, coming out and we're seeing these Twitter Spaces and people freaking out, it's a little disheartening. And I hope people are tuning in, and I hope that they realize that, you know, they just got it wrong again. You know,
yeah, we'll be your voice of reason, guys. I think, hey, guys, thanks for coming in, all of you. We really appreciate it. If you're watching this for the first time, please subscribe, please hit like, and please share. You know, we're waiting here, and the UCC kept tweeting, "Don't believe what you're hearing," and they've been attacked ruthlessly the last few days. Not as much today, but yesterday got pretty ugly, and you know, they had their account suspended and they got it back on. And, you know, people need, like we talked about last night, the UCC is not the one handling all the negotiations. They can object with the judge and they can ask for things, but they're not in complete 100% control. And I think that's important to keep telling people the reality of the situation. Right. So that October 19th, I was a little disappointed, but not too much, because that means if we have a sale hearing, the sale could be complete. That gives us, today's the 21st, 28 days to get everything done, tied up, I's crossed, I's dotted, excuse me. It's late, and get this over with. And that's still, I'm going to keep trying to be positive on the show. I'm hoping for January. If we get any more delays, that January prediction of mine doesn't look great, but I'm hoping January 2023, whatever it looks like, wherever it's called, we're back on the app with as much of our crypto as we can get back. So that's still the hook.
I still don't think it's going to be January, especially now that it's pushed back. I think my February or March prediction is probably coming closer and closer to being more realistic. But go back to that number and think about this auction, and think about the number of big companies that were in, and think, what must this auction have started at if it only got to 50,000 by now? Were they like
50 million? Wow.
Yeah, 50 million.
Tomorrow will be 50,000.
We'll take 10. We're going to start the bidding at 10. Who will have 10? It's not going to work like that. They wouldn't have gotten to 50 million by now if, you know, this was a serious auction. They would have been well beyond that, especially if 1.8 was the low ball offer at the beginning.
Especially since we heard that the auction was very competitive. from the UCC. That it's so forget about the 50 million. Relax. If you're like us and you have VGX, don't lose hope yet. There's been a lot of things that the UCC doesn't care about VGX. There's no evidence for that. So let's see what happens, and let's see what the final offers are, and let's see what the final awarded offer is, and then we'll get more information as to what we're getting back and how soon it's going to happen. So if we can get this wrapped up in October, I still feel okay about the January. We'll see who's right. I think whoever takes over is going to want to get things rolling as soon as possible once they get everything cleared. We had a couple important things to talk about in crypto today. Obviously, the markets did not do well. We got BTC back into 18,000. You notice, guys, whenever BTC gets into this range, it doesn't go down that much. And we talked about this before. A lot of BTC has kind of been lost forever for several reasons. One, people have lost their keys. Two, and I was reading an article before, we haven't talked about this before, some people have unfortunately passed away and not told anyone what their keys were that had BTC. Yeah, I first time I read that, I never thought about it that way, but since crypto is so young as an industry, there was an article about that. So I personally don't see us ever going below 15K. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I didn't really see us going under 19 at the beginning of this bear run, but here we are. Again, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but DCAing into BTC right now seems like a smart move. But again, I don't think the bear is nearly over. But you had some interesting information I think our viewers might want to hear, Mr. FOMO. That
I mean, before we get too crazy, the BTC drop I think had a lot to do with the market being scared of the FOMC meeting and what Fed Chair Powell came out and said today. Especially he signaled last week or the week before that they were happy with being aggressive with the interest rate hikes, and so I think a lot of people were worried, or maybe some people who tend to get worried were worried that they were going to hike it 100 basis points or 150 basis points. I heard out of some people, but they stuck to 75. And I think that's kind of what put a little fear in the markets today. But I don't think that was, I don't think it'll last long. I could be wrong about that. The macro is also not great, but like you said, I don't see it going much further down from here. So this is a great DCA.
Now, you had found some important information about stable coins that I think our viewers need to hear. So go ahead and
right. We have some things coming out about stable coins. First, the judge ordered Tether to prove that they are backing up their stable coin with actual assets, with actual dollars. And so they're going to have to pony up the information that shows that they are actually doing what they said they're doing. And a lot of people see this as a negative, but I see this as a positive. If they're able to prove that they are actually backing their stable coin, this will be a good thing. It'll add strength to them.
And we don't need any Luna situations again. We really can't afford another disaster as an industry. So I think it's a good thing
that you brought that up, because the U.S. is drafting a law right now, and in that language, it would ban algorithmic stablecoins like Terra Luna's USDT for at least 2 years while they can do more research on algorithmic stablecoins. One of the things that they've been citing as a problem with crypto was the Terra Luna crash. And so the draft law specifically outlaws, as the wording stays now, if the wording stays the way it is now, it's going to outlaw algorithmic stablecoins like that. The other draft law that is going through the EU is it seems almost certain from what I read that NFTs will be listed as securities in the EU. And so if that draft law goes through, that could be problematic in the short term as far as NFT value. You might see some people dumping them, but the utility of the NFTs and popularity of the NFTs will win the day. But those are some of the things that are being pushed through as far as regulation on the tail end of all of this stuff with Voyager and Terra Luna and this.
And I think it's good to remind you guys, and we don't know what the new Voyager is going to look like. The plan was to have stocks already right now and NFTs. And it'll be interesting to see if FTX is the buyer, if they continue with that plan. Who knows? We're going to keep speculating. We're going to keep being here. We've got a big show coming up. 3 coins you don't want to miss during the bear market, coming very soon to you guys. We want to thank you guys so much for watching and supporting us. We love it. And if you could spread the word, that would really help us out. For Mr. FOMO, this is AZcrypto. You guys have a great evening.
See ya. That never